Why did it join? Quite long. Is there a way to mute these people?
Yeah, the timeout.
The timeout is the mute.
It stops their account from being able to send a message on the server for whatever time you set it for.
Uh,
So yeah.
well, um, okay, so yeah, sorry, David.
Mhm.
So, but I think having more falls will still not we still not have. I think it's still moving the problem somewhere else. Because then we would just say, yeah, the fault doesn't really match it, but is slightly
No, but
better.
we're saying now we're struggling because of how closely matched it is, right? Because say we get the behavior of going to the wall nicely synced, right? Say we get that behavior nice, right? Then it's a case of saying, okay, how can we smooth out that blend well enough, right? So what you're now caring about is the pose you're in before to the pose you're in into the splat. That's what you care about, realistically, right? So, but that is when motion matching shines as a whole like mechanic and a whole like thing.
Yeah. But
I don't see, because my thing is like ruling out things without even like, I'm like, I'd rather try get the falling more dynamic anyway, because I think it needs it regardless. And then with a more dynamic fall that's able to adapt to changing poses quicker, potentially this could actually work.
Yeah, no. But so what I'm saying is the is the splat one of those situations in which we do not want to compromise. I mean, there is a way to not to compromise the quality, which is we input the splat a lot earlier in a way that it doesn't it lets us having the splat working and being beautiful. What I don't want to do is that to allow something that it doesn't look great just because we say no, but we don't want to have two input earlier, because I think that is the trade-off that we don't want to have, and we want to have the maximum quality always, and then like what is the trade-off to get to
but what is but you, I think the question is,
and the fun thing, of course.
yeah, because quality and fun are evenly balanced, and I think that's the thing we can't forget. Like, fun is just as important, if not more, than quality. That it could look great and be shit, and that's not a game. So fun and the realism fact, the quality must go hand in hand, right? So they're like, it is a 50-50 thing. So if it's real but it's not fun, we have to find the even ground, right? Whereas
but so far we find that ground, and it would be weird to have something that looks a little bit shit just because we don't want to move our trade-off.
For sure,
like,
but
jumps and climbs and vaults, they're awesome, and we were able to make it awesome by just really grinding, and also hard stuff. But we cannot just say, yeah, these plants are not awesome, but
the thing is, one of the things that made it much more fun was actually taking away from, weirdly, it was taking away from situations being so closely linked to an animation. That's what changed the gameplay completely. When once jumps became no longer animation dependent, it became very fun. And I think that change was like so key because it made me realize it was like forcing it to the animation to drive gameplay isn't the fun fact. Like you can have a janky jump and it's fun.
Sure,
but then
but it looks awesome. Like the whole physics-based animation and like so everything that we do now, it looks awesome. So it's not that we say, yeah, you know what, is physics-based, it's a bit shit, but it's fun to
yeah,
play.
I know it's but I don't see
It's
how you can
awesome and
have
it's fun to
the
play. Yeah,
but how
we
can you
got
have the
both.
splat? But the world, the scenario of a splat isn't like there is so many cases where you splat through physics, not through an animation, and that's the thing that I'm like, the splat is so commonly through a fall, not necessarily through an animation. So for example, like I'll give you so that gap I do there, right? So to be able to do that as a jump splat means that you have to have an animation that will reach that wall and do a jump splat, right? Or we're saying,
One sec, can you show me on the screen?
oh, I can't because every time I fire up Unreal, it just breaks, right? But if we just think about I'll fire up and see maybe if I just go in the editor, right? So now what we're saying now is we need to capture jump splats. So if we're saying then it does a jump, right? The jump animation does physics, like in the same way it jumps, transitions to a fall, and then does a splat, right? With physics in there, right?
Yeah.
So now what we're saying is you do a jump, you then fall, and then you then splat. Same. So the control stays the same, but the jump you do is a splat jump, right?
You mean
Because the realism you're saying you want will come from it being completely animation. Otherwise, if we're saying we want the takeoff to be that of a splat, the fall to be that of a splat, and then the splat to be that of a splat, realistic, like the thing with that is that you're sculpting the whole thing to be that way, but we have way more. We have the ability at any point to blend between or to change that up and have it still look very good. Like I think the sticks are evident of that. Like the fall half the time doesn't even look. It's not. It's the complete wrong fall. It's still something about it that people are like, God, that looks good. You know what I mean? And I think that's the. But for something like splats, maybe we just need to change earlier, right? Maybe it could be that kind of like the fall needs to be a splat kind of fall, so it needs to transition smoother, right? Maybe that's what it is. But if we're saying that the animation is because so for example, this scenario here, right, might work because we've got some coverage that says you jump to this wall and splat. Now, if I move this guy back, all of a sudden,
what are you talking about?
I'll share my screen. Sorry, one sec. If it crashes again, I'll stop sharing. Right?
Yeah.
So that's wanna you don't. It means that your jump is now power driven, right? So you can jump further, jump more, and you're gonna try and make that distance, right? Or are you saying that the splat needs to be like I jump and I'm jumping and splatting against this wall?
No, I'm now. Okay.
Play now animation. Yes, so many times it feels fluid. Yes, so many times it feels fluid, and even the raw. The more and more I see it, the more I'm like, you know what? Actually, like even the arm grabs, they're completely wrong. All the animations are completely wrong. Yet sometimes it looks fluid, and I'm like, oh, yo, hold on a second. And that decision gets made so late. One animation goes up, the other one comes down. The bodies are just completely tilted all the wrong ways, right? But you can still very last minute make that kind of change. What I'm saying is because I think if we think about it as the jump, the fall, and then the action that we want to do, right? The fall is where this magic will happen, right? Now, I think there's a specific case, for example, if you are like this close to, if you're very, very close to a wall, right? And you're saying like, okay, we don't have the time to jump, fall, transition, and do whatever, right? Okay, that is a more...
One sec, David. So from what I understand too much, I'm wrong, and maybe Gans knows better, but you don't actually do a splat on the falling trajectory. You do a splat on basically this splat is your climax of the jump. Like every time I see the guys doing a splat, they don't wait to fall and then splat. So maybe
this I think that is the key differentiator here, because I think in the game the splat should also be a result from a fall. I think that's the difference that I'm saying, because making the splat purely because I think you're viewing the splat as an action in itself, like a tic tac, right? Like like the tic tac isn't a jump, tic tac, and then go off again, right? Like you don't jump, fall, tic tac off the wall, jump again, right? That is like that's like, and the tic tac is the tic tac entry. That is an action, right? In the same way, like for the tic tac entry now, I don't launch the character when he gets towards the wall, do the couple steps, then jump off again, right? Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. So then, but what I'm saying is that if we make the splats just like that, we lose a lot of context that is that game context of I jumped, I fell, but then there's a wall right there. It's like, should I bail? It's like, well, no, I want to splat, right? Like, because in real life, it's this climax, really, but from a game and from the casual player, it is a jump and then you hit the wall. But that, like, because then here, for example, you know,
for me,
a splat should still be an outcome.
That's not a jump, but that is you safely, you protect your bail in the most safe way that you can, but you cannot have a splat if you are already falling, right? And I think
But I've seen people do that though. I've seen the guys, like, if you jump, especially they do it all the time. Like after a Kong, like as you're coming down, it's all about your trajectory. So you can have the splat coming off of like towards your climax, and you do it. But there's many times where you can have the splat post climax and on your like downwards trajectory. Like, for example, here, if I was to leap at this wall, my splat wouldn't be at my climax. It would probably be as I'm coming back down on myself.
Yeah, but and I think that is the jarring. That is the thing that doesn't tick with me, because it feels very unnatural. Like, if you're already falling, gravity will always win. So you like what you call a splat is just a way to let's try to protect my body the best that I can from this fall. And you may want to, you may, I don't know, like just put your hands on the wall trying to scrape the wall or any.
And it's not a great splat, it's not super clean, but because you're like, oh yeah, I fucked up and I saved it. That felt good.
But because you can look at this from a parkour lens and it's like, yeah, I'm jump to splat. But then from a game lens, I think a casual player is jump, splat, and I think that's the like that differentiation that is actually quite. We got to figure out what the weight there is and play around with the two and see what feels best versus and looks the best thing. Same with like the arm jumps. What feels the best is jump, grab. This